listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or you can just email the Absolute Radio website. You know. Hello.
Hello.
Morning, Peter. Morning, everyone.
Oh, stop that immediately.
Oh, it takes me back to my childhood. So, here we are. I tell you what I did this week.
Yep.
I think, let me see if I can find the significant jingle.
Okay.
Might not be able to, but it... Friend of the show!
Oh, yeah.
I had a bit of a friend of the show experience because I was presenting an award, which is always, it's nice, really. It's second best to winning an award, but it's above being nominated for an award and not winning one.
Oh, that's awful.
Because you don't have the bitterness and despair of not winning it.
I think I would probably like it best out of all. There's no gamble, is there? It's just fun.
And it shows that you've achieved a certain status, that you're being asked anyway.
Well, my argument about... I spoke a bit about... Because I was presenting the Outstanding Achievement Award.
Right.
And the whole thrust of my speech, or at least the initial
You should
thrust
say what
of it-
these awards are.
Oh, sorry, they're called the South Bank Show Awards.
Oh, yeah.
And they were at the Dorchester Hotel in Park Lane, London.
Nice.
In case they were
I actually
thinking
got
of the
into-
Caesar Dog Food Awards or
I
something.
got into a car and said, the Dorchester, please, which is great.
Oh my God, you and me for a day.
Yes, it was lovely. And so sort of my main point was that the Outstanding Achievement Award is the best award.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point beating around the bush. If the other ones... Yeah, if they were outstanding achievements, they would have the word outstanding in them.
Yeah.
But I did point out that I felt being asked to present the Outstanding Achievement Award is so prestigious, it's better than winning one of the other awards.
Exactly, and if that helps you get through the night, brilliant.
I think it's true. It's such a big
How
award.
did the other winners feel about that, do you think?
Well, ironically, my brother-in-law was one of the other winners.
Really?
But I think,
Was
it's
he?
good. It's good to win, but you feel, you can always be a bit of a flash in the pan and win an award, but not with an outstanding achievement.
What, Arteri?
It's the difference between, beating a Premier League team in the FA Cup and then actually winning the league. It's all about consistency.
Yeah.
The OA, as I call it.
Okay. Oh, you meant your brother-in-law. I thought you meant Arteri for a minute.
That's my brother.
Yeah, I know.
He didn't get anything this year. But, so it was nice to do it, and the Outstanding Achievement Award went to Tracy Hemming, who is, of course, a friend of the show.
She is.
It's great. It's like sort of presenting Nugget with with Somkin. In case you don't know, by the way, that Nugget is someone who texts into us a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe if he wins a comedy award, if there's a texting in category 1 year, Nugget would be up there. I would have thought.
Yeah, but it could be. We could find out. Nugget could be a pseudonym for someone.
Yeah.
Could be Seinfeld.
It could be Tracy Hemming.
Yeah.
Like when Ronnie Barker sent his own sketches in under a different name. It could be that, couldn't it? Could be...
Yes, he did, didn't he? What was the name?
Can't remember.
Was it Reginald
I don't know,
something?
but you know what?
Might be.
Beautifully...
Sandy Warrell now.
Well, Nugget will know as well. So we've come
Do you
full
think?
circle.
Someone
I
will
think
know.
it's Reginald something.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway.
So it was a fabulous event with all sorts of... it's one of those, because it was the arts, there's all sorts of people there. Like
Who was
Ken
there?
Loach got up.
Oh, lovely.
Can you imagine
Love
that?
Ken Loach. Was it in London's Glittering London? Yes.
It was at the Dorchester.
Oh,
It wasn't at the
right.
Dorchester in Oldham.
All right.
Although I did want to go to a gig at Caesar's Palace, Luton.
Did you?
So you can, so it was very fine, and Tracy got up and spoke about the radio show and texted in. So it was lovely, and
Nice.
all the artistic people were having a nice time, and the goodie bag I really enjoyed.
Really?
Yeah, it was a sketch pad and some rather high quality drawing equipment.
Nice.
Oh.
Hey, that makes a nice change, doesn't it? From
You can give those to our Kath, because
Well,
she
I
likes a bit of a drawing.
well, I'm thinking now on the strength of this, I'm going to start drawing stuff.
I'm surprised
I
you
might
haven't
come
already,
back-
because one of the first long conversations we had was about how many pencils you'd bought from a pound shop.
Yeah, but they're HB. And they're good for scribbling, but there's a limit to the shading in and that you can do with an HB. It's a big job. But these ones, there's actually some of those sticks of charcoal that you used to have at school.
Oh, wow.
I tell you, I'm on the verge of something. I might bring it in and start sketching scenes from the show.
Yeah.
As
I mean, we've got a webcam. It could be considered regressive, but
What sort of scenes from the show?
no, it's sort of illustrations from my book that Frank Skinner the Radio Years. No, I think that would be all right. Year of the King, Anthony Sher, when he illustrates it with his own drawings.
yeah.
Anyway, music.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'm really sorry.
Oh,
I'm
what?
sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I have to interrupt tales of your awards ceremony because we have some news in from a doctor.
Oh, God. You think he'd have contacted me direct?
Yeah.
Not just send the results into the show.
Well, it's the new NHS. They're trying to save money. This is from
Frank
Harry.
for the NHS. I mean, come on. Come.
This is the new
awkward.
NHS Indirect, in which they send your results to friends and people who know you who can then tell you.
This is an interesting story. This is from Harry. He says, "Dear Frank, Emily and Alan, yesterday evening..."
A doctor called Harry. Hold on a minute. This is Harry Hill, isn't it?
Yesterday evening, I did something
Mr. Harry.
of which I am most proud.
Oh, okay.
I watch telly. No. Whilst waiting for the tube, a fellow passenger fell unconscious onto the track and was unresponsive. I was shocked by the inaction of other passengers and so jumped onto the track and lifted her out.
Wow.
She was pretty injured. I won't go into it.
She was pretty, injured.
I won't go into it on what he
Because
calls...
let's face it, you wouldn't take that kind of risk for an ugly person if they jumped on.
He says I won't go into it on Breakfast TV. I'm hoping that's a joke because we reference readers and watching, or maybe he sent it into Lorraine as well, but I don't know.
Yeah, mate, I imagine it's done the rounds.
Yeah. But I had to administer some basic first aid on the platform.
Oh, look, this is a man, isn't he, covering himself for a further court case.
Uttering the horribly archaic line, "I am a doctor," like
Okay,
I was
really.
Tom Baker or something. She was fine in the end, and the ambulance staff took her to hospital to be checked over. My predicament is thus: despite this being one of the best things I've ever done, nobody I knew was around to see it. I told my girlfriend and got a hero's reception from her. She played various heroes-based songs to me,
Oh, lovely.
David Bowie included.
Holding out for a hero.
But other than that,
Look for the hero inside yourself.
nobody knows. In fact, I think it's better this way, and that the anonymous good deed is perhaps the one with the greatest merit and nobility. Agreed? However, a nameless mention on Absolute would make me feel like Perseus. Kind regards, 275.
Okay. Well, that is obviously...
What do you think, Frank?
I think it's a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah.
Clearly. I do think, as it says in the New Testament, that with all good doing things, don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. Do them secretly.
That's what
and
it
then
says
you'll
in the
get your
New
reward.
Testament.
Yeah, that's where that's from.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I thought it said there'll be great pestilence or something.
It also maybe says that as well.
Okay.
This is a different bit.
Okay.
It's just like a modern version of it.
Have you seen there is available on the internet? There is a compilation of everyday heroics of people doing things exactly like that, of people collapsing onto tracks and people jumping on and rescuing them with sort of moving music played over it. It's rather fabulous.
Oh, that sounds good.
So that maybe he could add himself to that
Yeah.
with a bit of editing. Just put himself on the end, like slightly different quality. Oh, there's no film of it. There will be film of it, of course. They film everything.
CCTV.
What he needs to do is get in touch with the London travel people.
You could do it next week when they're on strike. It could be a quiet day. for
They'll
them.
probably let him go in on a quiet day and sift through the CCTV.
Do the video.
Yeah, and then that's going to be a lovely thing he'll have forever. I think if you save someone's life, the best, at least they can do is let you get a bit of footage.
I love a grainy screen grab in a frame.
Yeah, I'd certainly want the person I'd saved to know that I'd saved them.
I would.
Because you want an Androcles and the Lion type setup, that if ever you were being, say, attacked by hooded youths, and this woman was one of their girlfriends, that she'd say, no, stop, this man once saved my life. That's basically why I'd be doing it, as sort of urban insurance.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Cockerell was just saying, wouldn't it be good if, having read out the story about the heroic doctor, everyone could send in their fabulous heroic things that they've done in their lives?
And a version of that has happened.
Fabulous.
My mate got run over outside his local by a getaway driver from a bank robbery. He was only nipping home for his tea, my mate, not the robber. Anyway, it was caught on the pub CCTV, and the landlady gave private viewings in the back room to the rest of the regulars while my mate recovered in hospital. See? It's a version of it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I love that woman.
Yeah, but what was the nature of the event? Was it a celebration of the fact that he accidentally got knocked over by a bank robber?
Yes. Well, one would imagine so.
I like local stuff's always more exciting on the telly than stuff.
Yeah.
You always want to see the shop, the shop from round the corner on the telly.
Oh, it's so exciting. But it's your manner, Frank. Your manner on the news. There's nothing better.
But surely you should want to see places that are far away that you'll never see in the flesh.
Oh, no. It's like in the newspaper, isn't it? Surely world news is the bit that most people skip, don't
I
they?
never bother with
No, but it's like when you get more excited when I'm on this morning.
Depressing, isn't it, world
Yeah.
news?
You like things like that.
No, it's true. No, world news is the worst news
Yeah.
of all.
Frank,
They don't put the funny stories in
extraordinary
from the
statement.
world,
No, but
do they?
there's always been a coup
World
in
news.
Angola. We know that. We sort of know that, in our heart of hearts. So, I don't know what we're supposed to do about it.
Is that the last bit you go to on the website when you're reading Daily Mail?
I never
online?
go to world news at all.
Don't you?
No.
What has the world got to do with me?
Is this...
No, that's texting, yeah.
Gerald Wiley, by the way.
Gerald Wiley, of course, that was Ronnie Barker's pseudonym.
Ah.
It should have been
Bloom.
pseudonym.
Can I just say,
That would have
this
been a
is a
brilliant one.
wonderful countdown moment between you two. Alan actually shook a pen whilst he said it. He went, Gerald Wiley, and shook a pen whilst he told you it was Gerald Wiley.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did.
The Guardian.
Anyway, what
so,
else?
Yeah, it was my birthday on Tuesday.
Oh, thank heavens I remembered. Did you text him?
I did.
So did I.
It was, you know what, it was really good. I don't do presents anymore.
Yeah?
Even for your birthday? I thought
yeah.
that was Christmas.
No, but it was for my birthday as well because...
Really?
Well, Kath, for new listeners, that is my partner. She used to make such a fuss about presents.
She's very thoughtful.
Yeah, but she used to spend a lot of money and get really stressed out about it and basically complain to me about that stress and cost. Mm-hmm. And in the end, there was no pleasure in it. Even though she bought brilliant presents, I felt like I've been beaten up at the end of the unwrapping. So, even this year, she suddenly sprung a piece of original manga art on me, which I didn't much care for.
Oh.
And I accidentally mentioned that, and that went very badly. The problem is...
What are you saying?
If you're going to give someone...
Presents or you're receiving of presents, do you
If
think?
you're going to give someone a risky present, don't leave the price on, because if there's any doubt about the present, they'll look at the price and think, well, you could have got...
No, you will do that.
I could have had vouchers to this value.
But I felt bad about it after, obviously. but now that's passed, and now I feel all right about it again. I think it's just a matter
Is
of
it a bit like
keeping your
Robert
nerve.
Mugabe feels bad about things, briefly?
Do you think Robert Mugabe does feel bad about things?
I don't know, I'll ask him, I'm seeing him next
Do you
week.
think last thing at night he lies down, and just before he reaches out for the bedside lamp, he thinks to himself, "Oh, so I'm so tempted to do the voice."
No, I know you are.
I don't know. Can you do the voice?
No,
think
because I
it's all
like
right.
doing this show.
Yeah,
Don't.
no, I think it's all right. Anything to
No,
himself.
don't do the voice.
An easy
Maybe.
fix for this. No,
Maybe, yeah.
Don't do that.
It's all right to do the voice.
Do
It's
Ian
not
McMillan
derogatory.
again, the Barnsley
Can't
Post.
do him as Ian McMillan.
Do him as something
you can do
else.
that.
Then
voice.
Robert Mugabe in bed saying, "Although I've actually executed several people today, if you're going to make an omelette, good night, Elizabeth." And then he puts the it's Elizabeth Mugabe, is it, the wife?
Is it? I don't know. I don't read the world news.
Oh, no, I think... No, she writes a column in The Lady, which I regularly read.
Soon to be Emily Mugabe. Fingers crossed.
Oh, do you think so?
Well, put it this way, he's second on the list next to Kim Jong.
Would he have more than... He's not a more than one wife man, is he? Bob Mugabe.
I don't
Another
think he's
text-
particularly rule-bound when it comes to things
Another
like
good
that.
text in. This is nice.
Skinner, Dean, and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Absolute Radio.
No, it was. It's a difficult thing because I was more upset that Kath had spent 60 quid. I didn't want her to spend 60 quid on me. That was the truth of it. And also, I think if you buy, I think she was pressured into it. I think the people she was with that day said, "Oh, Frank will love that. He'll love it," so she bought it. And I don't like her bending to social pressure. And also, Frank will love that.
It's so easy to buy a gift for, aren't you?
Do you know what I mean? The people kept saying to me, "Oh, have you seen that Donnie Darko? You'll love it."
Oh my God, I hated that film.
You'll love it. And so many people said you'll love it. I went and saw Donnie Darko, and I came out. Not only did I not like the film, I was genuinely insulted.
So was I, Frank. What was that? All people in rabbit outfits with all arsey haircuts.
Well, I thought you'd like it with your rabbit ears. Hey, what about that?
Might want to explain what this chat's about to some of the readers that don't
Emily's
know.
got one of those rabbit ear phone protector things that if you drop them, the phone can't break because it's got rabbit ears.
And you said...
You ever dropped a rabbit?
You said...
You ever dropped a rabbit? You said me that can't be her 'cause it's got ears.
You said you didn't believe me and thought I was lying. And I told you that I'd raised it with my therapist.
I didn't quite say that. I think what I actually said was,
And
in all the conversations we've had, this is the first time when I've genuinely felt that you were lying to me.
And now I'm going to have to spend another 8 minutes discussing this with my therapist.
No, because the point of that, it's like when you get one person in the audience not laughing. What you have to concentrate is all the people who are laughing. There's always one person who doesn't laugh at you all night. And just forget them. And
Why is it always you?
The point I was making was that I believe everything you tell me. Apart from that rabbit ears thing.
No, you've said it again.
Oh, sorry. Did I tell you I was walking in this morning? I walked in across the London centre. It's dark when I walked in.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting time of the day. It was like, it'd be about 6:30, 7:15.
Very gypsies, tramps and thieves.
Well, it's that time of the day
Well, I was
where...
propositioned by a lady the other night when I came in at one point. I think I discussed that
Was
with
you,
you.
really?
Remember, yeah.
No, I didn't get anything like that.
Oh, no,
Not
sorry.
on my back.
Have I ruined your story?
No. I'll tell you what I did see. I saw a big man with a pointing an umbrella into a casino door. Into the casino.
Was David Lynch directing your
and
journey
shouting,
into...
"You are a sinner, you are a sinner," at the man who was on the front desk. I enjoyed that. And it's a fabulous time when last night hasn't yet become today. So there's some people from last night who was quite scary and drunk and menacing.
Yes.
And then there's people from today in high-vis jackets, like brushing things.
Yeah.
And tourists who are still on the jet lag thing, and it's all mixed up together. It's very, very lovely. "You are a sinner! You are a sinner!" he kept saying. I think it was Ian McMillan. By the way, can I ask you this?
Yes.
What's the month that begins today?
February.
Yeah.
Oh, but I've got a funny way of saying it.
No, I've worked out.
Let's all say it. February.
February, right?
We
But
all say it the same.
Should it not be February?
Yeah.
What
No.
happened there?
What happened there then?
It should, I think.
I heard an American say it this morning. He said February 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
but
thought,
for the same reason it's not Leicester Square.
no, but that really...
No, it's just Leicester Square.
That
It should be Leicester
It
Square.
feels like that. I should have been saying that for years.
Dictionary
I might
corner.
have to walk around going to replace all the R's that I haven't said every time I've said February. From now on, it's February for me.
We've got a hero. I'll tell you in a minute.
You've got a hero.
A hero's texted in.
Okay,
Oh,
well, let's.
great.
I'm holding out for that.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened on my birthday. I got quite a lot of presents started arriving that I wasn't expecting.
Oh,
this
did
is
they?
the joy of Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
I had some books arrive
Lovely.
completely out the blue. Fab. I had 2 books on Pope Francis, for example.
Me too. That's what I'm hoping I'm going to get.
I think it wouldn't do you any harm to get 2 books on Pope Francis.
What, you are a sinner pointing your umbrella?
Yeah, that's what one of them's called. It's a pop-up book. When you open, a big umbrella comes out and points in your face. And
Is
it's-
Pope Francis one of your favourite ones? Is he one of the...
so far, he's doing a great job.
Right. Is he the...
He's the current one.
incumbent, is he?
Yeah, he's
Right.
You don't know who the current Pope is?
Well, I saw him on the telly last week. I can recognise him from photographs, but
He's
I
not
just...
the bad
No, it's not-
Pope.
it's not
He's
good.
he's retired
It's not-
now.
I mean, you should know who the current Pope is.
It's in the world news bit, isn't it?
It being
know,
1952 and all.
I know who Richard Dawkins is. Come on, why don't you give me a bit of give and take? Anyway. So I had lots of... what I've ended up... I sort of decided, to be honest, about 12 months ago, that I wasn't going to be fussed with books made from paper anymore. I was just going to Kindle it.
Kindle it?
Yeah.
All right,
because
I
I
thought you were
thought...
just going to read children's books, like the big cardboard ones.
No, I'm working on papyrus. No, so... so I thought that was it, because you know, a Kindle, it takes up so much less room
Oh, they're portable, all right.
than books. You can't argue with that.
No.
Mm-hmm.
But then people have started buying me real books, and
Well, I was one of them.
Yeah, you were one.
Yes.
And Kath bought me a real book, and I've had a few real books arrive, and I have to say, I'm loving it. Having had some time off, just the feel of it.
Oh.
I'd completely forgot that I used to put stuff in the margin, mark it and write stuff in the margin.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's the
Must
trait
try
of
harder.
the,
Robert Harris must try harder.
Exactly, yes, not happy with this.
that is the habit of the academic.
Yes.
It's not
Do you
something
use-
I do, but it's an academic trait.
Do you use a pop-up pencil for these purposes?
Sometimes I use a pop-up pencil.
Yes, I can see you with that.
I would only ever use pencil. I wouldn't put ink on a book.
Oh, it's vandalism. Vandalism.
Good.
I saw someone once with a Sharpie
Oh,
on
my
the
goodness.
tube.
A pat? A
Hang on,
pat?
was
in
this
a
an
book?
autograph?
And he snatched it out
Was
of
it
their
an
hand
autograph writer?
and wrote something horrible on their face with it. Would have been a fair thing. Anyway, can I say, by the way, that of all the marginalia and marks I've made in books, I don't recall ever going back and consulting anything I've ever marked ever in the history of my reading. But, you know, at the time, you feel you're doing something good. But I've also found myself pressing a few words to try and get the definition,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is what you can do on Kindle. But I'm loving it. It's really brilliant to be back in the book market. But this brings us to a fabulous email that we had. But first of all, music.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Saying it's made you rekindle your love of real books.
That's very fine.
Guess Ian Angel.
Oh, Ian Angel, another...
He's another
He's a bit of a
regular.
nugget. He's good.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
one of the nominees.
Yeah.
When we do best texter.
We did have an email about the books conversation. Hello, Mr. Radio Sir Cockerell and DME, darling, Divine Miss Emily.
Yes.
A while ago, you were talking about Nancy Delolio posing for Playboy, and the discussion swayed
Were
towards.
we?
I don't remember
Yeah.
that either.
Yeah.
The discussion swayed towards the books of people's bookshelves and how they are a good judge of their character.
Well, I'm fascinated. If I go to someone's house, I always have to look at their bookshelf.
Yes,
I am
me
fascinated.
too.
And there's often a rogue in there.
Yeah. Well,
You
like
look-
mine. Andrew Neil, full disclosure. How did that end up there?
Yeah, I think we've all got one of those
Yeah.
one of those strange ones. They're usually gifts, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Often.
But it's a good way of reading someone's head, I think, their bookcase.
Well, let's see. Well, I have 3 of Frank's books. I think that means
All
books
3,
you've written,
yeah.
not,
Yes.
not of yours.
Me too. I have all
Your
3.
ownership.
Oh, okay.
Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck.
didn't mean to kill it, George. I didn't mean to
Just FYI,
George.
Frank's going to attempt to sum up each classic with a sentence.
A
No, but
Star
we've all-
Wars
we've all-
encyclopedia.
We've all had a fantasy, haven't we, about having a big, powerful but very stupid friend who deals,
got that, I don't
deals with difficult stuff. I think Nick Clegg writes the foreword. Star Wars, that's good.
Star Wars
Encyclopedia.
encyclopedia.
Yeah, that shows that he has a sense of of an otherness.
That shows he might kill again.
4 guitar guides.
Oh, that's bad.
A self-help
Oh, is it?
anxiety book.
That's good. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
okay.
like that. The
It
Lord
depends
of the
which one
Rings
it is.
I'm
trilogy.
frightened about it. I'm frightened if I say anything else about this now, I'll be killed outside the studio in 2 weeks' time.
Well, hang on. Lord of the Rings trilogy, and finally,
Lord of the Rings trilogy. I don't know if I said. I saw that. I was very tempted. I saw that. I went and saw the Hobbit film, and I thought, Lord of the Rings trilogy, quite. It's 1,300 pages.
yeah,
Is it?
And when you get to my age,
a
you
lot of
do
trolls.
find yourself thinking, I don't know if I'm going to get through. I don't know if there's time.
Do you know what, Frank? When you get into our time of life, I'm saying on, which is very kind of
You've
me.
got to
I'm
read
not
very
seeing you.
inclusive.
You've got
Very
to read
inclusive.
slim volumes.
I don't want to read about goblins. I haven't got time.
Yeah.
Well, I can't take on 1,300 pages. It's, it's optimism gone crazy.
You've
Yeah.
done this all the wrong way around. You should have done Lord of the Rings when you were a younger man and then The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner. That's a slim... Is it you that's read that?
No.
No, all right, forget it.
Alan's gone mad. What am I gonna say? Alan mad, that's what I'm
I
calling
love
him.
that book.
How lovely to be able to browse someone's bookcase, sort of in audio.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Why don't you text the show on 8 12 15? That'd be good, actually. We haven't had that many. Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the Absolute Radio website direct.
You know, we have Adam. I feel a bit like you're... It sounds a bit sort of plaintive when you go, we haven't had that many, but we've had some.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I
that's
like-
the default setting on his hard drive.
No, but I
Is
do,
it?
I like to get some text, because it's, it suggests there are people listening.
Well, Sandy says, so glad you're back into reading actual books, Frank. I work for the printers in Bungay and you're keeping us working. Smiley face.
I wonder if there's a theme developing, because 967 has texted, for non-fiction you can't beat a paper book with a proper index. Brackets, I'm a trainee book indexer.
How lovely that the people from the book industry have suddenly...
Yeah.
Hey? I feel we've binded.
Oh, very good.
Thank you so much.
Very good. I was in the middle of reading an email about books, wasn't I?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I have all three of Frank's books: Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, a Star Wars encyclopedia, 4 guitar guides, a self-help
Sorry, this isn't
anxiety
Cockle,
book,
yeah. This is this chap's bookshelf.
the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and finally a book
Can I say,
titled...
The Lord of the Rings is not a trilogy as such, you see.
Oh, is it not?
Isn't it one single volume that comes out that's in 3 parts?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think it's officially a trilogy. Wasn't it written as what? It didn't come out in instalments, did it?
I think it's called the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I think
though.
it's called that erroneously.
Oh,
But someone will know.
there's another
But
text in.
I don't think you can split a book into... I think...
Next week
Anyway.
on Radio 4,
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
as you were.
Carry on.
And finally, a book titled The Serial Killers, a study in the psychology of violence.
That's
I
a
know.
pop-up. That's a pop-up. I've got that.
These are found among the traditional selection of dictionaries and thesauri. I also have an abundance of various comic books, so armed with this knowledge, how would the team judge me by my bookshelf?
Well,
What do you think, Frank?
I like the sound of him because he's got... there's a good sci-fi comic book
Yeah.
fantasy element. He's a man who can cope with a dragon or an alien.
Can we just say that's Jason at 19 from Somerset? I think that's impressive
That's
for
pretty
19.
good. But obviously you do slightly fret at the serial killers book. Although serial killers are, a fascinating topic, I do worry about someone who actually purchases a book on it. And some people I think again erroneously, that people who read sci-fi are desolate, lonely outsiders. And if you combine that with the serial killer book, then you're getting fretful, and the anxiety. But
Yeah.
I think Jason sounds like... He sounds...
he's a powder keg. That's what Jason.
Well, I was going to say, Frank, I describe him as a thoughtful introvert with a
Yes,
propensity
this sounds like
for
one
deep
of the
violence.
this is one of the neighbours speaking after the crime.
Yeah.
He's a nice bloke, He had I heard him playing guitar and stuff.
Hey,
Yeah, I thought he sounded like a weirdo, to be honest, and then I read... and then,
Can I say, Jason? This is obviously we're talking in the abstract here. We're
Yeah.
not singling you out.
I did think that until I read the PS and it says, Alan, you're an absolute legend, and I think now he's probably the most sane person I've ever heard about.
Oh, I've gone off him. You see now.
Brilliant.
yeah.
Absolute Legend is a channel I'm trying to convince him to put on.
That would be.
Just me and Righty.
That'd be brilliant.
You righty, Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah.
And John Legend
Yeah.
as the continuity announcer, replacing Matt Berry. Can I say, having said that, I'm not really sure who John Legend is. I just know
No,
the
I don't
name.
He's a
know.
singer.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it?
I know the name, but there's so many people who I know the name of, and they could be anything.
Yeah.
They could be jet
Yeah.
pilots.
Yes, I know what you mean. Hey, I tell you what we haven't discussed.
Hey!
the best thing that happened all week, Frank.
How do you know about that?
Yeah, I can't discuss that.
Frank and Adrian Chiles on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've never laughed so much in my life.
Really? Were they
I
funny?
absolutely loved it.
Like,
It was the best thing ever.
did they have to
Did you not
immediately
watch
go
it?
phone friends?
I didn't watch it. So
Well, I did.
I know how it ends.
Millionaire. I call it... Frank, do you call it millionaire? That's a bit pensioners, because there's too many words to say Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Well, I always think when I watch Millionaire the same thing, and even when I did it, when we sat in the studio, I thought, I cannot believe that the theme music to this is not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. How could it not be the theme music to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
It was very interesting, because Frank, I would say you and Adrian, it was like an Aesop's fable about the pessimist and the optimist.
Oh, really?
You were saying, Frank was going, come on! He went all Stuart Pearce. I loved it, actually. Adrian was going, it's terrible, no, we're not going to be that. He was depressed, wasn't he? Throughout much of the show, I thought.
Well, we are yin and yang.
You
That's
are.
sort of how
really?
we work.
Frank was so optimistic. He said at one point, I can't believe he said this. Daisy would have died. He said, no, we don't want to phone a friend yet. Let's save that for when we get to 1 million. Oh, my God.
You have to believe.
You can't say that.
If you build
So
it, he will
arrogant.
come.
Did he
Remember
come?
that? No, he didn't come this
Okay.
week.
Frank
Busy,
was
apparently.
very proud of his knowledge as well. When it got to something
You
like
do surprise me.
one of the questions was the invention of the telescope. Frank went, "Yes, I believe that's." And
Oh
then you
dear,
said
did
the
I
name.
mention Anton von Leeuwenhoek?
3 times?
Did you?
3 times.
I'm not even sure if he is the inventor of the telescope.
You said it 3 times, and you said Chris afterwards.
Did I?
Yeah.
Chris, I like that. That's like when they say Les on Family Fortunes. They're told to say Les. So they say, so what do you do for a living? I work at a plumber's, Les. They're told to keep saying Les so people know who he is.
You said Chris when you got there were 2 on, and you went, "Yeah, Chris." I think I know. You said Chris.
Did
So
I
I was
say-
listening out
Oh,
for Chris.
dear.
But can I say you and Adrian were very good, and you did pretty well. Can we say what you won? I think we can. It's TX now.
Yes, go on.
I can't remember.
Neither can I. Good night.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
What do we have to talk about? Not just your millionaire. What about Andrew Murray?
Oh,
He's my millionaire.
What have you gone on camp?
Just you had to say that in a camp voice
Okay.
in some way.
Andrew Murray.
Do you think that's what Kim Sears calls him, my millionaire? I'm seeing my millionaire tonight.
Why has she gone all camp?
I think she's got camp Kim Sears. Do you know Kim Sears? No, but thanks for the tip.
I think Andrew Murray. Andrew. I think that's what his old Ma Murray calls him when she's angry with him, don't you?
Yeah, I bet she does, yeah.
Andrew. Well, he got a bit into trouble this week.
he did.
A little bit of trouble.
Frank Spencer terms.
Little bit, yeah.
He was on the naughty step. I mean, he's good at tennis, Andrew Murray.
He is.
But he gets in
That's
trouble
true,
Goodish.
with the old interview stuff sometimes, doesn't he? I think sometimes
I don't
he can
think
come
of him as
across
a
badly.
controversial figure, to be
No.
honest.
Well, what I'm saying is he's not a kind of quick extrovert with sound bites. That's not his way, really.
No.
But he was doing a Q&A on Twitter. This is what these celebrities do, Frank. You're going to have to get involved in this. You're going to have to get involved.
No, what? You know, I do get those sort of offers. Well, would you come and do blah, blah, blah? And maybe you could talk about it on your Twitter feed.
And what do you say?
Well, I'm so insulted, I don't even reply. The very idea that I've got such a thing.
You're going to have to get over that.
It's cold in here, isn't it?
Okay, I'll turn up the
I like
heating.
it.
I can feel, well, anyway, feel the effects
I
of the
don't
cold.
like the area of your body you're touching.
No, it's,
It was his nipples.
Anyway,
ladies and
they
gentlemen.
asked him some...
well, I just, my jacket is open by about 2.5 inches, and I realise it's...
Don't have a look at mine.
It's my nipples have gone up in the cold.
Come on!
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting.
Well, you know, put the heating on, for goodness sake. What's going to go next?
This is the sort of chat we could have whilst playing a song, really.
Sorry,
I mean,
who
honestly.
says on a commercial breakfast radio show, put the heating on, for God's sake?
Yeah.
It's Andy Capp's wife you're talking to.
What, Florrie?
Anyway, so these Twitter people, they asked him some questions, and they asked, some of it he did quite well. They said, did you think you'd win Sports Personality of the Year? And he said, I never thought I'd win anything with the word personality in it.
Did he say that?
Yeah, which I thought was rather fine.
That's
He's
very good.
funny.
Yeah.
He's
Well, it's not
misunderstood.
God.
What would it
not
take
over the
for you
top,
to shave your head
honestly.
again? He said a razor. Not bad.
He's
Oh,
got, he's
genuine
got, he's got
laughter
a
in the
team
audience.
of writers there, hasn't he?
I don't think so.
But he's got a team of writers.
Then it got a bit tricky. He got asked a couple more questions. Did you eat grass to ensure you won Wimbledon? He replied, no, I smoked it. They asked him if he was going to marry Kim, who he'd been engaged to for 8 years, and he said, He said, yes, we're getting married after next Wimbledon.
Yeah.
It turned out he was joking.
I think it's brilliant.
I think the writers must have nipped out to laugh at that joke. You wouldn't think, would you? What about this one? Are you going to marry Kim? Yes, we get married after the next Wimbledon. Write that down. Can't wait to get that one out. Just, I know you do lose a bit in Twitter and text.
But
I mean, if you imagine him saying, "Yeah, we're going to coming out, we're going to get married after the next Wimbledon," suddenly it's funny. But in the written word, it's all with delivery with Andy. It's the way he tells them.
yeah,
I think it's great. I think
it went viral though.
There's been a media perception that Andy Murray is boring and a bit sort of dour, and he's taken that and he's joked about the thing you should never joke about. He's joked that he's getting married to the woman that he's refused to even discuss marrying. It's dangerous. He's like a shock jock.
You're considering he's some Frankie Boyle character.
Yeah, it's like Howard Stern
but
or
what
something.
about if he's not joking? I mean, what about if he did smoke grass? And then if it's exposed now, he can say, "Look, I owned up to this years ago.
Yeah.
And everybody was fine with it."
Well, because it went
Even
viral,
cleverer.
he had to.
What if he's ever smoked clay?
He had to then issue a statement saying, "I don't smoke grass. I'm not getting married, and I don't want to kill Raphael Nadal." And to be fair, me neither.
Well, the great thing about that is what I saw in the paper was the statement. I didn't know anything about the Twitter thing, so I thought, "Oh God, why suddenly bring those up?"
Yeah.
There must have been smouldering. What I'd like to know is if a tennis player gets married for the second time, is the service a bit shorter and a bit more circumspect?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So Andy did this. Well, it wasn't really a wedding proposal, but he just said
It was a prank, wasn't it?
it was a prank. He was a prankster.
Yeah.
But I don't get what the gag was in saying we're going to get married.
Guess what? I'm sure Kim didn't see the gag either. I think I would have been absolutely furious if someone had done that to me.
He's a joker.
You would have thought he was a legend.
His next gag is he's going to get one of those fake pregnancy tests that was in the paper last week. The positive ones.
I think she would have done, the female 3 levels of fine. It's like ascending, isn't it?
What's that?
In shrieking, fine. So you go, are you okay about that? I have to say, fine.
Oh, yeah, I think
And
you're
then
right.
the second level, fine.
Oh, right.
I
don't know if I
won't
wanna
even do
hear
the
level
third.
3,
You
yeah.
can't hear level 3. If you get to level 3, you need to walk out.
Right.
Do you think he's a bit of a practical joker then?
I think he's pulling people's legs because they've been asking him
Have you
for
ever done that
years
thing
when
when
you're
you
going to
play-
get married, and he's just going, here's
Do you
an
ever done that
answer.
thing when you play tennis and you do a serve and you've just sneaked the apple out of your Tupperware thing and you actually serve the apple? Have you ever done that?
No, I
Or
haven't.
bowled it at cricket? I've
No.
done that a few times.
Have you?
What if you did that in a
Oh,
day?
that'd be good, wouldn't it?
I'll tell you what I don't like about him. He's taken to wearing black socks, black shoes.
Right.
Oh, I don't like that.
And it looks like, when you get up in the morning, you've got your socks on.
Yeah.
Nothing else. It's sort of that kind
Well,
of...
that's never
obviously I've got a
happened.
Jarma jacket on.
It's a bit businessman playing away from home.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it is, yeah. That's what
Wandering
it is.
around, finding his
in
trousers.
the hotel, maybe
Yeah.
under a white robe from the hotel, but then the black socks on underneath. It's that look. Stop that,
Yeah.
Andy, if you're listening.
Guess what 240
Oh,
says?
Maxwell,
We're
oh,
talking about books, Frank. On a tangent, what would McGarrett say these days? Kindle him, Dano.
Yeah,
That's a very good point.
In fact, all the book-based idioms, I'm going to
Yeah.
throw the Kindle at him.
Yeah.
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 I'm still a fan of proper books, paper. I've never gone Kindle. I'm so behind the curve, but it sounds like there's no point being ahead because you're coming back to the book, aren't you?
Well, I think the Kindle wins on every account, apart from just the sensory experience of holding slices of paper.
Right.
Although I did get a paper cut, the first paper cut I've had for months. So, it doesn't come without some pain.
Yeah.
Gwen
jeopardy.
from the Wirral, who's one of our regulars, has revealed her reading matter. Read what bookshelves reveal about a person amongst a great deal of archaeology.
Did you say Ewok bookshelves? I'd like one of those. Like an Ewok, and then you open the chest out and the books are inside.
the nice
The
chess level as well.
taxidermist.
Amongst a great deal of archaeology/history books and the Odd Bill Bryson, I've also got 2 Dactari annuals.
Fabulous.
Blue-
Clarence the Cross-Eyed Lion,
Don't know what they are.
Blue
Yes,
Peter 1966 to 1970 annuals,
the Golden Years.
and a book worryingly entitled The Love of Monkeys and Apes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that. There was once a question on the American celebrity squares. They used to have a very camp man who sat in the middle. But that was like the 50s when people didn't really know what camp meant. Mm-hmm. And the question was, celebrity squares, you get asked questions.
Oh, yeah.
And the question was, do chimpanzees kiss? And his answer was, yes, very well.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
I think it's time for us to take a little wander.
Okay.
You know where.
Little Wonder Ventum.
You know where. I'm still laughing at Wanda Ventum. What an excellent reference.
Thank you.
Anyone doesn't know who that is?
Me.
What do they have to do, Frank?
Be cozier.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, Emily, Frank and Alan.
Morning.
As a recently unemployed, may pose an obstacle for a night's move
Keep it light.
person. That would never be an obstacle. I'd date someone without a job.
Yeah, but only because they were so rich they didn't need one.
Well, exactly. I have had the opportunity to spend a substantial amount of time walking around my local area north of Brisbane. Brizzy. Reflecting on where life...
Do you know it well?
No, never been there.
I've never been there.
Reflecting on where life will take me next and enjoying a good audiobook or podcast. This is a solely morning activity, as it gets very hot here during the day, and the pub is a far better place for afternoon recreation, as they have air conditioning and I have nothing better to do. Anyway,
Okay.
on one of my walks, I came across a very tranquil spot by the river and decided to take a moment to sit down.
Can I just stop you there? Do you know the
Yeah.
Johnny Ray song, The Little White Cloud That Cried, that begins, I went walking down by the river,
Does it segue into Goldfinger?
feeling very sad inside.
Right.
Okay.
As I was sitting there, a woman walked past with her dog, who proceeded to cock its leg against a post and relieve itself.
Well, they shouldn't do that.
I hadn't been paying much attention, but I looked up at the sign atop the now soiled post, and to my great surprise found that I was sitting in Frank Skinner Park.
No.
I sincerely hope this is evidence that Australia has taken Frank on board as a national treasure. However, I have to say he doesn't get much mention in the media here. Oh, that's cruel.
It's no need to bring that up. I don't get much mention in the media here, let's face it.
Interestingly, there's a Fred Krueger Park just down the road also, which may suggest that the local council have been randomly selecting names for parks from IMDb. There's still hope for Emily and Alan then.
Would there be a lot
Cheers,
of
Dan.
elms? A lot of elms in the Fred Krueger Park?
Oh, that's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Well, I was. I
Me and Alan can have our own
saw this
parks.
email.
Mine would be really boring.
What would yours be?
Quite safe. There'd be a lot of health and safety.
Well, I'd like the Emily Dean recreation area. Let's face it.
Well, I think we all would.
When you
Maybe just for one night.
when you pass through those gates.
Oh my goodness. I was very excited to read, because I saw this email sort of ahead of time, because it was quite a big story.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
alerted.
It's one of the biggies, isn't it?
Breaking news.
I can honestly tell you, I was on primetime television last night. I'm more excited about having a park in Australia with my name in it, if it isn't me.
Oh,
and one of the first things...
It isn't you. Spoiler alert.
No, sorry, yeah, it isn't. And also I found out, the second I found out, the post with the name of the park on it was being urinated on, a fabulous example of light and dark in all things.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think that woman should have done that. Oh, hang on, it's the dog. My
Yeah, I
mistake.
think it's, let me just,
Yeah.
well, maybe. I also noticed next to the Frank Skinner Park, I
Yeah.
looked it up, is a thing called the Stephen Lawn Park.
Oh.
Now, I wouldn't call a park after someone whose name was Lawn. It gets so confused. It's like Tina Hobley being in Holby City.
Yes.
I think you've got to have a bit of separation on your concepts. But a friend of mine from Australia,
Yeah.
I texted her immediately
Did
to
you?
say apparently there's a Frank Skinner Park in is it Brisbane?
Brisbane.
Yeah, Brizzy. What did she say?
Well, I'll tell you. But first of all, I have something very important to do.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were just talking off air about what our types were.
We do talk off air, by the way.
Cockerel got me, may I say, bang on, Cockerel.
Yeah.
He said Daniel Craig. Spot on.
Yeah, but Route 1. See,
Daisy then said...
I'm a bit disappointed.
OK, let's get to what you said. Daisy then said John Hamm, from Mad Men. Bang on, again.
I don't know John Hamm.
Well, that's not on my fault.
Very candid of you, by the way.
I bet he's got less than 5 connections to Kevin Bacon.
So Cockerell said, well, you've obviously got a type, and proceeded to say what that type was. Bit sort of, what would you say, square-jawed, classic?
I said classic good-looking, but with a wide face and body type. That
I was about the wide body, but anyway.
Max Headroom.
Frank,
exactly, yeah.
Frank then added to this and went, I know who you fancy. The man who played Charlie in Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
That's Tom Bosley.
No, that's not Tom Bosley.
OK, who was it?
The assistant. He was the silver-haired man who was married to Crystal as well in Dynasty.
Well, a 90-year-old Spanish man. Ricardo Montalban, or whatever his name is.
No, he wasn't called that. Wasn't he called John something?
I don't know why anybody's looking at me for this. I don't
You're talking about Blake
names
Carrington.
from actors in programmes 40 years ago.
Blake Carrington, yeah, that's it. We got there.
Oh,
Your first guess was David
there.
Gandy, and Emily said no.
David Gandy.
Yeah.
Anyway, just I don't fancy Blake Carrington, just to clear that up.
Okay.
We're still in email corner.
Actually, Frank had done a cliffhanger, hadn't he, with his...
Oh, yeah, you had, Frank.
Texting of the Australian friends.
If they temporarily brought back slavery and I had David Gandy as my personal manservant, does it mean if I left him in the cloakroom at a posh hotel as I went out, I could say to the woman, Mahatma Gandhi?
Lovely.
Okay.
I have to say, when you began that, the producer immediately put her head in her hands. The moment you said slavery, there was just a...
I think one can talk about a return to slavery without getting nostalgic. I'm talking about, obviously, it was just for the purposes of one beautiful man to be constantly at my side.
There's been something more upsetting than me fancying Blake Carrington this morning.
Anyway, well, it's still early yet. This is when I found out about Frank Skinner Park, who's not that sort of half Korean bloke who lives in the apartment across the way. Frank Skinner Park is a place in Brisbane. I immediately texted my friend Janet McLeod, who lives in Melbourne, Australia, in St Kilda.
Oh yeah,
and she said, Frank, while you were slumbering, I've been finding out more about the man commemorated by the Frank Skinner Park in Queensland. Mr. Skinner was referred to as the father of soil conservation.
Oh, lovely.
Excellent.
Oh, my God.
If you head to YouTube, I've struck gold. There is a 1956 Department of Agriculture film with the wonderful title Soil is Your Future, which Mr. Skinner wrote and appeared in, although a non-speaking role. So I'm recommending that for a watch. You know, some people say, oh, have you seen that thing on YouTube where a fat bloke falls off a horse and lands on a kestrel? Well, I'm saying, read this about the future is...
Sounds to me like, rather than being a national treasure in Australia, your name is Dirt. That's it's not soil.
My name is Dirt Bogart, they call me. I've just been passed a note by Daisy that said, why do you only call me when you're high? And I thought, was this meant for me? You know, you get a text, you think it's not meant for me, but I'm realising she's telling me to hurry up and play the next track.
Frank Skinner
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We're still in email corner, am I right? And thinking we've moved on from Frank Skinner Park. Hi, Frank, Emily, and the Cockerel. Frank, as a fellow fan of Merlin, I'm keen to know your opinion of the new BBC drama, The Musketeers.
Oh.
Much the same vein, I know Emily will not approve. Also, as a fellow Scot, I'd like to hear more of Alan's stories about his mum. She sounds hilarious. And I think that Emily Dean should start doing stand-up and perhaps her own tour. That's a great idea, can I just say?
Yeah.
I'll be your support act. The dressing room will have... It'll have a different rider from...
What would I do on the road for food? What would I do if I went to Birmingham and I needed macrobiotic couscous?
Well,
Can't get that at 11 p.m.
No.
I think... there's a local delivery company called Dr. Couscous. Dr. Couscous.
I'm too scared anyway. I haven't got your regional reserves of strength, you two. I'm a southern softie.
Is that where we get them?
Yeah.
Oh, there are some southern comedians now.
Yeah, they're not as good as you two.
Well, they're scratching a living, but they're at it.
They're not as good as you two.
I think I would love to see your stand-up act. Maybe we could tour this show.
Yeah. Do you know what my stand-up... Imagine me coming on with my first bit as observational comedy. You know when you're sitting in BA in first class? Oh, no, you don't.
No, but I think...
It would just be called Oh, No, You Don't.
Yeah, people would be fine with that, though, wouldn't they? That's what
You
they
should
want.
call it Oh No You Don't. That's a good title.
Yeah, the Oh No You Don't show. Oh No You Don't show is what the problem with it sounds like. You don't the things.
Yeah.
So no, I'd pay to see Emily.
Yeah, but we're talking about stand-up, darling. Oh.
No, I would definitely. I think you could do it, but it's tricky. I'm not pretending it isn't. It can be tricky. What about if we toured this show and just sat on stage and talked about the news and things that had happened in our lives? We could, like,
read
really
out
swear.
emails and
Imagine
stuff.
if we could really swear and say filthy stuff.
Got it.
Yeah.
Like when
We could call
the
it
songs
Absolute
are on.
Filth.
Absolute filth.
Yeah.
And I tell the truth about my love life.
Yeah.
I'll have to check my diary. I think it might clash with my hosting of Absolute Legend, but I'll check. I'm not sure on the dates yet. We're still firming them up.
Yeah, well, I've still got my Absolute 20s.
Can I also say to Reese, The Musketeers, I didn't watch that. I saw someone in a leather hat and a moustache and I almost vomited. And
Was
I
it
just,
Joe Boxers?
I thought, I can't, there's no place for me here.
I haven't seen it. I really want to see it. I feel I'll like it, but I've got it on my my Sky Doodah.
But
I'm
seen it.
interested that it's called The Musketeers.
Yes.
In case there's obviously thinking if somebody drops out, we can still continue with this. If we call it The Three, then it gets difficult.
Well, I think it's based on the books, isn't it? And in the books,
I'm guessing it's based on the books.
I think it's written from the perspective of one of them. So I think the books are called The Three Musketeers, but one of them is writing about the other three, so they're technically a four. Does that make sense?
It should have been called
Have I
The Other
explained
Three
it?
Musketeers.
Yes, exactly. I may have got that wrong.
It should be about people that work in the perfume industry, isn't it?
Musketeers. People on the counter in boots.
You know, like chocolatier. You know the art of the chocolatier. What about the three chocolatiers? Would you go and watch that?
No.
Oh, it's a pity. I've got tickets. Oh God, I thought everyone would be really pleased about it. Oh.
Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
I am Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I'm with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text us on 81215. Follow us on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or you can email us through the Absolute Radio Webby.
I like the way you merged words there, so it sounded like Siam Frank Skinner. I was thinking, hiya. Interesting.
King of Siam. That's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. James Wattenaw. David Baddiel's brother, Ivor Baddiel, pointed out that when James Wattenaw, the snooker player, played, it says underneath James Wattenaw, Thailand. So it just says Wattenaw, Thailand. And if Thailand hadn't changed its name, and it was still Siam, instead of Wattenaw, Thailand, it would say Wattenaw. Yes.
Yeah. Fill in the blanks there.
Yeah, that was Ivor Baddiel.
Good bit of Southeast Asian wordplay there on Absolute Radio.
Requires knowledge of old capitals.
But in keeping with that, we need to move on to another wide appeal topic.
What, in keeping? Did you say?
In keeping, yeah.
It's popular, but it's a big job, you know. I mean, you think it's easy, but you're up quite late after everyone's gone home.
True.
And you have to wear a leather tabard-style apron, I find.
Yeah, and you have I an alcoholic, I think, if I remember rightly.
Text in on 81215.
You don't have to be, but it helps.
Yeah.
I think we've got some new rap style beef to discover on the wider media.
Okay.
Martin Shaw, the actor of judged on John Deed and The Professionals fame.
Oh yeah.
And he may have done a programme called Always and Everyone, which I appeared in as Jason the Asthmatic.
Oh, he did that.
Well, he did The Professionals, which I appeared in as Frightened Child.
Oh, all right.
And he once played.
Skinner.
He once played
He's worked with them all.
Elvis Presley in a play I went to see.
Oh. I like
Have you
that
not
you've got
worked
the
with him?
worst connection.
Have you not
I don't
worked
think
with
I've
him?
ever worked with Martin Shaw. No.
And I've been saying for 3 years you've worked with them all, and finally we've found...
We've trumped you.
No, you're right.
Shaw's trumped you.
Martin Shaw has had a right old go at Vorders. Carol Vorders.
No.
He's not had a right old go. He's had a respectful go.
And I'd say she's virtually friend of the show.
She's talking about flying around the world solo. She's just recently passed her pilot's licence.
No playing nothing.
Yep, just flapping
Just
around.
doing in the whole thing on just bustling enthusiasm.
Just using a wrap dress.
Just love of life.
Just have the wrap dress to
That's
keep her
what
going.
powers Carol. Love of life.
I love Vorders. I'll never forget that night we had with the Rolling Stones.
Anyway.
Well, there's a story. Martin Shaw has been flying for 22 years, and he blasted her ambition as insane, and said that
You're reading this by any chance?
the bit that I really like is temesis when you put a comma and then another phrase in a sentence. Parenthesis. The comma's for parenthesis.
Yeah.
Carol, I think, has only just learned to fly. I really like that, rather than I think Carol has only just learned to fly.
He's
Carol,
an
I
actor,
think,
though,
has only just learned to fly.
He enjoys language.
If she's going to do it solo, you have to admire the bravery, but it's insanity, he said. And he said, I don't want to be the spectre at the feast or a wet blanket on her sense of courage. I've been flying for 22 years. Well, you go then. There's not a queue. Just go.
Can we return to Spectre at the Feast?
Yes, we can.
Well,
Discuss.
it means he doesn't want to turn up in a grey afro with a revolver. I think that's what he's getting at. No, he's
bank
referring
reference.
to the Scottish play.
Yeah.
Yes.
When, it
Firstly, I
doesn't
love
quite
that
work,
he makes
does it?
that reference.
Doesn't quite
Yes.
work unless Carol Vorderman had murdered Martin Shaw earlier, and then he's returned with his wounds still
Frank, he was doing
seeping.
well with that literary reference, and then he ruined it, got greedy, and then he mixed his metaphors with the wet blanket.
Yeah.
Because he then said, "Nor the wet blanket on her courage."
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you can't. Just leave it at the Spectre. You were doing really well with Spectre, and now it's just vaulting ambition.
The
He's
wet
come
blanket
unstuck.
on the fire of her courage would have perhaps worked, because you could put a wet
Are
on
you the
on the
Spectre-
chip pan of her courage.
Yes, I like that. I imagine that her courage is a bit like a chip pan. It's a little bit too hot. You know, and you have to get it a little bit too hot. I find whenever she's... you need a wet blanket. So ready to throw over it should it suddenly burst into flames. Consonant, please, Carol.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
So we were talking about the Spectre at the Feast.
Yes, Martin
Shaw.
I mean,
Old colleague of mine and Emily's.
Yes.
However brief.
And in the West End, actually. He's in 12 Angry Men.
Is he?
Not every night. But if you can catch him.
don't promote the man after his outburst at Vorders.
I know it's a bit harsh, but he's concerned for her safety ultimately.
Is he?
Think no, she's she's so pneumatic. That is her brand now, isn't it? She loves her curves, Carol.
Yeah, she
I
does.
think if she fell out of an aeroplane, it wouldn't do any real damage. I think she just looks so,
So
pneumatic.
what?
That you just, when you see a burglar being pursued by a police dog in training, and they have the padded arm, they have the padded forearm that they have to go for. I feel that is sort of that Carol has taken that on as a general exterior. I don't think she could come into any real harm.
That sounds good.
Don't get me wrong.
I think she looks fabulous.
I think she looks absolutely
Okay,
fabulous.
thank you.
I'm a big fan of pneumatic.
Yeah. But Frank, wouldn't you rather, if you had the choice of, what is she, a physics graduate, I believe?
Maths.
Yeah. I think it's
I think
physics.
she got a third.
It doesn't matter what the grade is.
Rachel Riley. I was with Rachel Riley doing a show, and someone said, "What did you get?" I think she went to Oxford or something doing maths, and she said, "I got 2-1." They went, "I only got 2-1." She said, "Carol Vorderman only got a third."
Oh. And that anecdote tells so much about Rachel Riley.
Well, yes, but also
Maybe it's people that like
about
IQ
Carol
tests.
Vorderman. Yes. Do you think?
Yeah.
I think you'll find
The
that
greatest
Vorders.
achievement.
I think you'll find Vorders is immenser.
Oh, is she? Okay, I still love Vorders.
But
all I'm saying, Frank, is she's something like physics graduate, third, 2-1, whatever. What did we used to call it? Douglas. That's what we called it. Yeah.
She's in Mensa, but the first 3 letters are in bold print. It's a sort
Would
of
you
a
rather
club for
a physics
saucy-
graduate flying you, or an old actor with a hat?
Well, look.
He's been flying for 22
Simon Cowell.
years.
Well,
for us,
Well, look, you know when we were talking about our types before, I have to say, if I had to
Martin
identify
Shaw is yours.
what would be my type,
Yeah.
I do like the female aviator.
Oh, yes, that's very
Really?
You know the early female aviation pioneers, Amelia Earhart, Amy Johnson, they're always hot to trot. They're sort of like...
Hot to trot?
Yeah, they're sort of short-haired.
We're taking on the language of the 1940s for this.
Barely. No, he's
Seems
got
that-
websites. Barely legal. 1920s hotties.
No, honestly, they look fab, those...
Oh, in the flying
aeronauts.
jacket and the
It's short
jodhpurs.
hair.
Is this a leather
and-
thing? Is it a leather?
Oh, here
I
we
think-
go.
I
Short
think-
hair.
I
It's the
think-
old orange is the new black thing.
I think it's, they're like action, and they've always got that faraway look in their eyes.
He likes
Yeah,
Lola
The
Bud.
female
Looking where they're
aviator.
going, aren't they?
You should have a look. Amy Johnson, Amelia Earhart. Amy
seen
Johnson.
Far away look in
gorgeous.
their eyes because they're all on lithium and things.
Yeah, but I don't mind that either.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Let's talk about me. Is it me time yet? Thank you.
Oh, I think it is.
So, I did... you're not the only one who's done some performing this week, Frank Skinner. I did a little bit myself.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, with Russell Kane. He was doing a podcast in front of an audience
Okay.
at London Theatre, and it was a bit sort of question timey, but bit of popular culture. So we covered
Topical?
everything. Yeah, topical.
Okay.
Topicality was all over the shop. And I was showing a dressing room with Russell and two other comics.
Okay.
Are they going to remain nameless? Is that part
No, we
of
can
this?
name them. One
That's
is
going to make their career very difficult.
let's name them. One was called Stephen Grant. You familiar with his work?
Yeah,
Another one was called Omar. Who's
Don't-
supporting Russell at the moment.
don't know, Omar.
Lovely chaps, but do I want to really be sharing a dressing room with them? No.
It depends whether you were dressing or not. Although I call it a dressing room, I've never actually dressed, I don't think, in a comedy dressing
I have.
room.
I have, yeah.
I don't mind. I shared with Russell, and that's fine. I've seen everything. He's seen everything.
Really?
We've
Is
that
got
true?
we've got no problems there.
Blimey.
Is that why you were seeing everything? Did one of you think you had problems there? And you had to say, look, I'm not qualified for this, but I'll have a look anyway.
This dressing room, it was a tight fit. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It was very tight. You couldn't swing a cranky in there.
When you got out of it, was it on a different floor? Sorry, carry on.
We anyway, so we're all sitting there. There's only two chairs as well, so that's awkward for a start. Who's going to take the two chairs?
Because you need to sit in for the socks and shoes thing.
Yeah. So
I mean, I don't need it. I've got a 3-foot shoehorn now.
Well,
so I can put them on standing up.
you don't share, I'm sure, you boys, because you're at the peak of your careers. And nor does
Oh,
Russell
I wouldn't
normally, I
say
have to
that.
say.
No,
But in
I
this
still-
instance, he was slumming it for
You
us.
still end up in shared
I
dressing rooms.
remember.
Okay.
I must have told you about when I shared with Flatley.
No, funnily enough, I might have remembered that.
Yeah, when I did the Royal Variety performance, there was me and there's about 5 of us. Jonathan Price, who was on to do Fagin in the big musical number. He had a special. He sort of curtained off his own little area in the corner.
Using what?
Using curtain, which he
brought
brought
a
with him. He
curtain?
brought
No.
he bought separating curtain, so
And just
that he
a
could do
couple
his
of-
makeup and get into character.
How did he were they hung up there? Gaffer tape? Or did he have a couple of Wimbledon ball boys just holding it up like
They
a
were
towel
they were like
while
on
they
a
changed their outfit?
screen. And so he was in one corner. So that was, and then there was, I think Jim Tavaray was in there, and a couple of other people.
Can I say this sounds like a horror walkthrough where you go into various rooms and get
then-
terrified?
and Flatley was in there. Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance.
Was he also out?
Worked with them all, Lenny. Worked with them all except Martin Shaw.
And he, I must have told you this. He held a can of
I'm so relieved what you said.
an aerosol can of hair lacquer in each hand.
Yes.
And fired from both sides. He did a double. His hands, he did a 2-gun thing at his hair.
I love him for that.
So he basically emptied 2 cans of aerosol simultaneously into his hair, and we had to go and get changed in the dressing room because we couldn't breathe. I suspect
Well,
Jonathan Price was slumped over his makeup tray behind the curtains.
Were you like Shirley Eaton afterwards?
Oh.
Google it.
Gold.
Yeah, very good.
Now we had to get out, and that was so. Then it was a health hazard sharing a dressing room.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, Frank Skinner, because these boys, one of the boys, I'm going to leave it nameless, this crime. It's a bit like with that Quentin Tarantino screenplay, when he wouldn't say exactly who'd done it, who'd leaked the screenplay. One of the boys got out some very spicy chicken.
Okay.
And I think that's inappropriate.
Jerk.
In that confined space. Where are you when I need you? And the smell was quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
Another one of the boys, can I say Russell's in the clear?
Yeah, okay.
Got out some extremely spicy and smelly couscous.
Blimey.
I couldn't breathe.
These guys are having a picnic.
That's when you want a bottle of ammonium hydroxide in your handbag.
Well, do you know what I did? And I'm very interested in your Flatley story. I did a Flatley.
Oh, did you?
Oh.
How I first responded to
Just
the
all
food.
over their food? Did you just spray
No.
it?
I responded initially in quite a passive-aggressive way. I went, oh!
You're right.
Although that could have been anything.
They could have. Could have been someone saying, hello. I went, oh! So they didn't respond to that. So I had to bring out the big guns. Didn't have 2 cans. I had 1 can. I said, no one minds, do they? Shh! Like properly cabin crew entering Australia. I did a total Flatley on them. They didn't say anything because I think they were embarrassed about the chicken couscous.
Yeah, but that chicken must have been covered in toxins.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah.
I do hope so.
You did the right thing.
But what's the etiquette?
I think
chaps?
you'd have been-
Do you eat in a dressing room with other people?
Yeah.
Do you?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, I would, but not... I would. To hell with them. I enjoyed taunting. I used to do, like, you do, like, corporate gigs. This used to be one of my favourite things when I share. People would say, oh, God, I don't like the way this is. The crowd seem a bit drunk. And I'd say, yeah, but, £2,000's £2,000. When I was getting about 300. Just to see them, and then you see them on the phone after to their agents. This is good.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
So that wasn't the only thing I did this week. We're still on me, just FYI.
It's all right.
I ran into a friend of the show actually this week.
Oh, do you want the
Tracy
jingle?
Emin. Are we going to play a guessing game?
Hold it.
Play.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, very good. I'll set the scene for you first. I was at an InStyle beauty event.
Okay.
I know you love a beauty
Lovely.
event,
Well,
Frank.
it's a beauty event, really.
It's just full of beautiful people.
But what do they do?
What we do is we invite all the lovely beauty companies, and
So
awards are given for the
cosmetics
best. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's
Nice.
presided over and presented by. I'm going to call him London's best-looking man.
So would it say stuff like best rouge?
yeah,
the year.
no, because it's not 1952.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Best compact.
no, but you're on the right line.
Best.
Yes, best
Cleanser.
compact.
Best fastening
cleanser.
compact. That'd be a good
Oh, I
one.
so wish you two had got the gig to do the beauty awards. I would have loved that. Best rouge. You're on the right line, darlings. Yeah,
Blusher of the year.
yeah. Blusher of the year, exactly. So presenting Blusher of the year was London's best-looking man, George Lamb, who's actually a friend of mine.
Yes.
I'll go
Yeah.
acquaintance. He's too good-looking to be friends with.
Was he hosting the whole awards or just that Blusher of the Year?
Hosting the whole awards?
Right.
Alan's trying to work out his fee.
No. Gorgeous, though.
It's so gorgeous. It's
It
very
is.
difficult. You can't be too good friends with someone like that. They make me tense. Do you understand?
Yes. Yes.
I just think, what if something happens to the face in the car? In the car journey, I
can't
can't
go
bear
anywhere.
it. You can't go anywhere with them.
Obviously, I can't help thinking that you and I are very good friends. You're absolutely fine with that. No stress whatsoever.
No, but there's you, and you have a tremendous inner beauty, and
Yes.
some external beauty as well. How's it going? How's it
Yeah.
going? But George Lamb is.
I'm just trying to think of a lamb. Tom.
You know what? I was gonna say?
Oh, there you go.
I would say you are. If George Lamb is a sort of Ming vase,
Yes.
you're more of a.
I'm Ming the Mighty.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
No, he's a handsome man. I agree with. He's a handsome lamb.
But it does make me tense. So he's presenting the awards in the hotel. He said we decided to go for a drink and meet my friend Scouse Tony. He said, oh well, I've got a car. We'll go together. So of course he comes down to the lobby. We leave together. These women see me leaving the hotel with George Lamb. I've never been hissed at like it.
Really?
It doesn't bring out the best in the females. They don't like it. I felt like Lee Ryan leaving the Big Brother house. Some of the noise is coming my way. So we leave, get into the car, go and meet Scouse Tony.
Hold it. What's the car like?
What's the car like?
I imagine Lamo drives a sports car.
I've never heard you ask a question about
Well,
a
I
car
have
in
no
your
interest
life.
in
To
cars.
Alan Partridge.
What was it, a Vauxhall Insignia, or are we talking
but-
BMW 7 Series? What's he driving these days?
No, but don't you imagine
What's become of you?
He might drive a Cadillac with cow horns on the front.
Why? Because he's so good looking.
Yeah, was it a flash car?
Well, you might have to wait to find out.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were about to get into the car, and Frank
George
was
Lamb.
guessing what it was, and you were about to say what it was, but you wouldn't say it. And so I think you were worried about a spoiler alert, if you'll
Well,
forgive the pun.
I'm
Was it a
afraid-
Lamborghini?
No,
Lamborghini.
George doesn't drive that.
A George Lamborghini?
Was he driving, or was he passengering?
We were being driven.
Wow, that changes everything.
Changes
He was in the
everything.
back of the car with you like a lamb to the slaughter.
I imagine you
Oh, I
both
wish.
jumping into a convertible without opening the door. Do you know what I mean? Like
Do you know
that.
what I did getting into the car with
Nice.
George Lamb? Opened every window, freezing. I just want everyone to see me. I want everyone to see me.
Oh, I thought you
Open
meant
the
you
windows,
really
open the windows
stank.
immediately.
I
Hi.
was thinking he must be honking in there.
No, he's very fragrant. Don't you say a word against him.
I won't.
Don't you dare.
All right.
The handsomeness. I feel ill thinking about how handsome he is. He makes David Beckham look like John Sargent. That's how
Wow.
good looking he is. Anyway,
Okay.
so I'm having...
How does he do that? Acid?
Papier mâché.
I'm having the steak with George Lamb,
That seems tautology.
and who should wander over to talk to Scouse Tony, who's sitting with us? But,
Pat Butcher.
no.
Friend of the show?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not Peter the Wild.
Emma Newman.
Tracy Emin.
Oh, she's
You weren't
everywhere.
the only one who'd had a sighting.
She's everywhere.
So we start talking. I thought, how am I going to drop this in? I need her to know it's me. Because I really need to get my...
Of course.
I managed to. I did it quite discreetly. I didn't embarrass myself. I kept saying, oh...
We'll be the judge of that.
Well, I better not tell you that. I think I might have said South Bank, Frank. I might have said, she went, oh, you're Emily.
He started going, it's pig.
When she said, you're Emily, give me a hug. We had a big hug. We embraced. I've never been so happy in my life. I wanted to get her to sign something for me, and I thought, oh, that would be letting the side down.
Yeah.
But we had a nice chat, and she did say to me, Frank, that she'd had an issue with getting through to us because we didn't believe it was her sometimes.
No, that was true. If you
So we've
remember.
invented-
We thought it was a hoax.
She looked at George. She said, is that your boyfriend? Oh, I've never been so
Good
happy.
call.
She says all the
Did
right
you
things.
say, I can't hear you. Can you speak up? Loads. Could you speak really loudly when you asked me
I
that?
laughed so hysterically, I went... Anyway, so I met Tracy, and she was every bit as lovely as I imagined. I adore her. And that was it. So we've got a code word, which I won't say now. I'll obviously tell you off air,
Oh, okay.
should she text in.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Is it nugget? That's really going to confuse things, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're near to the end of the show. We'd like to sort
Are
of
we?
put a bow on some of the things that we've had as
put a
running
kettle.
theories. We've had a text from 409. I think this is important information. The Lord of the Rings was never intended to be released in 3 instalments, but due to the paper shortage, the publishers forced Tolkien to do it that way. He was particularly miffed that the 3rd instalment was named The Return of the King because he thought it gave the ending away. He wanted it to be called The War of the Ring.
Like Death in Venice, I've always thought.
Maybe. P.S. Frank, I'm mentioned in your second book, Shoney. I don't know who Shoney is, but
No, I must have a think about that. So I was right that it isn't a trilogy.
it isn't a trilogy.
Okay,
I just
thank
thought
you.
you'd like
Thanks
the,
very much.
knowledge there.
No,
Oh.
it's good. Good knowledge.
Tracy's just texted in.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, Trace, I don't know if I did this. Hi, Emily. I can't believe I've forgotten what the code word was. But I did say 2 down, 1 to go, meaning me and Frank. And I asked why Alan is Alan and not Alan. And you said, he's not the funny one. I was talking about myself there, Alan, not Frank.
Oh, whoa!
I've done in one.
I don't think I did say that.
What? Tracy, just FYI, I can read that. You know, I can read that.
Trace, I didn't say that. Maybe I did, sorry.
Let's face it, you'd gone a bit giggly.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd gone a bit heady and a bit arrogant.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I made a joke at your expense.
I'm going to allow that, that's fine.
Is that okay?
It's fine.
Trace has exposed
fine.
me.
You were trying to impress George and Tracy. It was like a double whammy.
Tracy's done is thrown a grenade into the centre of the radio
Absolutely.
show. Oh, my goodness. I think we better go to email corner for it to escape. I'm going to press the, email corner.
I think, who should read this? Oh, not the funny one.
Oh dear, here we're going to go. It's going to be not the funny one in quotes, and then Tracy Emin underneath.
I'm going to put that on my Edinburgh
poster. I was talking
poster.
about me, and clearly I'm not as funny as you. Has that gone down all right?
It's fine.
Okay.
Hi, Frank, Emily and Alan. I'm a Japanese long-time reader, brackets listener, and second-time writer. Last week you were talking about microwaves. Frank seems to have a problem with it smelling fish and chemicals.
Yes, that's true. That's when I did my kippers.
Yes, we've both had kipper problems, haven't we, at various points?
Yes, we have.
Yeah. It's a draw, isn't it? It's a kipper tie, if you will.
That's a man in Birmingham ordering a cup of tea.
Kipper tie.
Yes.
Very
Carry
good.
on.
Use lemon. It gives you a surprise. Cut a lemon half and heat them in the microwave for a couple of minutes without plastic film. You will find the bad smell has gone, and also you can clean the microwave itself by using the lemons. You should use lemon skin if you want to get it really clean.
Really?
Stains also will disappear. You can use orange if you like. Please do try. From KO.
The trouble is, if I use lemon, it means I'll only be able to clean my microwave on Pancake Day.
Yeah.
This is the only time I ever have lemons in the house.
Yeah, what if you want to clean your microwave of lemon smell? Do you just brush a kipper in there?
Oh, that could be fun.
What about when I texted Frank on his birthday and I said, hope you have a lovely kipper-free day, and he said, thank you, I'm afraid I can't promise that.
And true enough, I did. But that's a good idea. Maybe I'll get some lemons. What I like to do is the little pointy wart thing on the end. I like to cut that off and use it as mock acne. For a joke. Just put it on the back of my neck. You must have done that. And of course you can use lemon juice for secret handwriting.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
That's very useful at your age.
I'm just trying to take Alan's mind off
He's not the funny one.
Tracy dobbing you in, I think we used to call it at school. Anyway, look, the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise and Alan doesn't walk. We'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.